Morning. Headed to a conference for entrepreneurs and business owners to try and see how we can do it better. So we'll see how it goes. First session of this thing was pretty cool. We have a few different points to remember. One thing I thought that was really interesting to do is these guys, when they're looking at brands, they look at their competitors, but not just like what their competitors look like. They look at all their reviews and they read all their reviews. And I thought that was really interesting, so they could learn the good and bad and improve on or duplicate what's working for other people. I thought that was really interesting. Looking at your competitors' offerings, obviously that is a big part of it as well. Not just the reviews, but the reviews was unique. This is all about building brand and how to get, you know, proper brand messaging and strategy and all that done. They do a deep dive into history, so they understand everything they can about history. So for us, if it was like branding for my company, it would be looking at the history of San Diego and looking at the history of digital marketing or marketing in general in San Diego, and having a good understanding of what that community is like and what the community in general is like in San Diego, and trying to bring that back to our story. I thought a phrasing that was interesting in their slides that they brushed over quickly but I picked up on was that, what kind of experience do people crave? I thought that was really interesting. You know, if we're talking to brand marketing managers, people that we're gonna manage Facebook or Google ads for, what kind of experience are these people that we're talking to craving? You know, it's probably really good reporting. It's probably very organized. It's probably very communicative. So how do we say that in our brand and our messaging and very consistently? Number one is, the number one most important thing they said is organizational clarity. Who's responsible for what? Who makes what decisions? What part, you know, how much does their decision matter in, you know, what's being decided? And, you know, a big part of that is just making sure people are heard and their opinions are respected and all that, which is really important. But we do need to have better organizational clarity for sure. Something they had was a statement of intent. I thought that was really cool. What they had written up there for a hotel, specifically a hotel project they were talking about, was a statement of intent. I want to do that. I want to create a statement of intent for my company, not a mission statement, but an intent. And we could create that. Maybe we create that for each prospect that we work on to become a client. You know, our intent here is an underlying theme in general. Is a plane going over, but an underlying theme in general is that brand is basically, you need to plant your flag in the ground. At the center of your brand is your flag. And I thought that was really interesting. You know, it'd be great to plant our flag on something and say, this is what our main thing is, our main one word. If, like this hotel example they gave was connection, and then all the pillars that go below the flag that hold the flag up represent the different elements of the flag. So we need to come up with what our flag is, really. You know, this goes back to that book Traction I'm reading. It's just a different way of applying a lot of this stuff, but so far I think it's really cool. You know, if we're looking to grow our brand and be more professional with the way it's all organized and set up, and these kind of events are really helpful for that, for sure. So back at it, but it's good so far. We just saw one of the entrepreneur speakers talking to us from Project 7, a guy named Tyler Merrick. Really incredible story. He's got an extremely successful business. I think it's like 9 years in at this point. And he had a real big plan to make this give back strategy. He wanted to donate a lot of money to 7 different charities. That's where he got Project 7. And when he created the company, he got his products into a lot of the major grocery companies. I mean, they were selling gum, that's their main deal. And then they went into several different product categories and expanded. And one of the things that he said, as every entrepreneur that spoke today, was that he had this shiny objects moment where they fell victim to starting another product in a wave of popularity, and it was the sparkling water. They'd put a lot of time and effort into putting this sparkling water project together, got, you know, major Target, Kroger, major companies on board to support them, major companies on board to support their efforts. And right before they launch, a major competitor, Pepsi, started the sparkling water company as well, and basically just did the crush the cockroach situation. So he battled for that, through that for 8 months, and finally had to take the loss, close the company up, and focus back on his core offering, which was the gum. And a big lesson for him was trying to stay focused on what your core competencies are. It feels to me like that's a big thing that entrepreneurs struggle with all the time, is just trying to stay focused on what you can do that will make you the most money me, and if you read the book, The One Thing, that's what they talk about there too. It is a problem when you look at line extensions. It is a problem when you look at expanding your offerings, because you fall into something where there's a little bit of risk as opposed to staying close and tied to what you know is going to work for you. But every entrepreneur seems to have their moments where they stray. They're trying to scale and grow, obviously, and at the same time, you know, it seems that all the entrepreneurs, especially at this conference, have had their moments of failure, whether they're beginning or not. Everyone has their moments. And the other takeaway I had from the talk was the time frame that was attached to all the work that he did. It was, you know, 5 years in of full-blown startup mode, and then going into the other project was after that, and that took on a life of its own of 4 years. And it's really just incredible how, you know, you can brush over how long it takes to make things happen and look at it at the end and think, oh, look at this great job that's been done by this guy or gal. They did this, it's so amazing. But in actuality, they're looking at 5-10 years of work. And the same thing happened with all the other entrepreneurs that spoke. It took a long time for them to have the growth and success. So I guess I'm transferring the message that stay focused on what you're really good at. Try to scale that and invest in that and make it as good as you can, and be patient, because it takes a lot of time. That's what I've gotten so far from the speakers today. Really good. Ideation Conference, San Diego. I'll be here next year.